Welcome back, class 10, to the online classes. This is the last chapter, number 8, nervous system and sense organs. The syllabus in this chapter that you have to study is the parts of neuron. Then you have to study about the various parts of external brain and its primary parts: medulla oblongata, cerebrum, cerebellum, thalamus, hypothalamus. So let's start the chapter. Organism detect changes around them. First of all, what is a stimulus? The word stimulus is any changes in the surroundings which brings a response to in a living organism is called stimulus. Like it can be the external or the non-living agents like wind, water, temperature, pressure, or it can be even within our body, certain like emotions or feelings. Like when we feel hungry, we take food, so hunger is the stimulus. When we feel thirsty, so thirst is the stimulus, we drink water. So stimulus is any changes in the surroundings that brings a response in a living organism. Means if something occurs outside, then the living organisms will react to it. That particular substance which brings changes is called stimulus. In your book also definition is given: a change in the environment of an organism that provokes a physiological or behavioral changes or response in an organism. Now what is response? So what is stimulus? Stimulus is happening or changes in the environment. Changes in the environment or in the surroundings also we can write, that brings a response in a living organism. In a living organism is called stimulus. Now what is response? The next word we get, what is response? So response means how we react to the stimulus, that is called the response. In your book the definition is given: change in the activity of organism caused due to stimulus. Change in the activity of organism caused due to a stimulus is called response. Okay. So example I gave, suppose heat is the stimulus, the temperature, then we start sweating, we sit under the fan, so that is the response. So sweating is the response which occurs at higher temperature. Now next is receptors. What are receptors? Receptors are the nerve cells which are present throughout the body that helps to receive different types of stimuli from the environment. Like in our eyes, we have the eyes are the receptors for light. So the rod and cone cells which are present in the retinal layer of the eyeball helps to receive different types of stimulus outside. Similarly, our ear is the organ which receives different types of sound because auditory nerves are present there which helps to receive different types of impulses. So next one is sense organ. What is a sense organ? The receptors are a part of our sense organs. Sense organs like eyes, ears, nose, tongue, skin. These are called the sense organs which help us to sense the world around us. Okay. Now next is what is impulse? I-M-P-U-L-S, impulse. Impulse means the message which travels through a nerve cell in the form of electrical disturbance is called impulse. Okay, I am not writing message that travels along a nerve cell in the form of electrical disturbance is called impulse. Now what is sensory neuron? Sensory neuron, there are three types of neuron you have to study. First of all you have to study what is neurons then. Okay, so I will discuss about it in detail. Now next, what is effectors? Effectors are those organs or glands or muscles which receives the stimulus and they change their activity. Like our muscles are the effectors. Similarly, the tear gland which is present in our eyes are the effectors. So when they are affected, they will shed the tear. So effectors are responding organs. So what is effectors? Responding organs are called effectors. The organs which respond are called effectors. Okay. Now next one is muscles and glands. Example, you can say muscles and glands. Muscles and glands, both of them, like we have different types of glands. Salivary gland is within our mouth, the one which secretes saliva. So it is due to the stimulus of the brain. When we get the food or when we see a tasty food, the saliva is secreted in the mouth. Okay. Now next is neurons. We have to start with what is neuron or nerve cell. Neuron or nerve cell is the structural and functional unit of nervous system. So how to define? It is the structural and functional unit of nervous system. The structural and functional unit of nervous system is called neuron or nerve cell. Alright, now neurons are similar to other cells because they contain a nucleus. Number 2, they are surrounded by a cell membrane. Number 3, they contain cytoplasm and the cell organelles like mitochondria, and they carry out the basic process, that is protein synthesis and energy production. Now neurons are different from other cells. If you ask how nerve cells are different from other cells, because number 1, they cannot divide. Okay. Number 2, because they can communicate with each other through electrochemical process. Other cells cannot do this process of transfer of message from one cell to the other, but nerve cells can carry it. They can transfer the impulses, that is the message, from one cell to the other. Now next we have to study is the structure of neuron. Okay. Okay, now next you can see the diagram of a simple nerve cell. I have drawn it from lower classes, class 6 onwards. A nerve cell consists of 3 different parts. What are they? Cell body. This part is known as cell body, or cyton. It is also called as perikaryon. Cell body or cyton. It consists of a nucleus, you can see in the center, surrounded by cytoplasm containing Nigel's granules, and these are the extensions of dendrons. This one is called dendron, mark it, and these branches are known as dendrites. Dendron, which branches? These are known as dendrites. Okay. Now this one, the long cytoplasmic extension of cell body, it is called axon, and the last part, that is the endings of the nerve cell, it is known as axon terminals, or the last part. Axon terminals. Terminal means the last part of the cell. Okay, terminal means wherever ending part is called the terminal. So cell body or cyton, second one is the axon, and third one is the axon terminal. First one is cell body. It is also known as cyton. It is the largest part of the nerve cell, and it contains nucleus as well as the cytoplasm. Like any other eukaryotic cell, it also contains the cell organelles like mitochondria, endoplasmic reticulum, and so on. And next one is dendrites. The short, this one, cytoplasmic extensions, it is called the short branches or protoplasmic fibers, which are spreading from the cell body. These fibers are known as dendrites. Okay. The next one is axon, the longest cytoplasmic extension of the nerve cell, which arises from the nerve cell and carry the message from the cell body towards the axon terminal, is known as axon. And the last part, the axon ends in a series of small swellings which are known as axon terminals. Now axon is covered by 3 layers. What are they? The outermost layer, suppose this one is the axon, I will draw it here. The outermost layer is called exolemma. What is it called? It is called exolemma. Axon is covered by 3 layers. The outermost is neurolemma. So suppose I have drawn a covering here. This is the outermost layer. It is called neurolemma. Neurolemma. All right. Then next one is the middle layer is called the myelin sheath. So I will draw another layer here. This one is known as myelin sheath. M-Y-E-L-I-N. Myelin. S-H-E-A-T-H. Myelin sheath. And the inner layer, it is known as exolemma. So I will draw the innermost layer, which is known as exolemma. Already is here, so we can point it to this one only. Exolemma. L-E-M-M-A. So outermost layer, neurolemma. Middle layer, myelin sheath. And innermost layer, exolemma. Alright? So 3 layers will be there. I can draw one more layer here so that it will be clear. Alright? Or not in this one. You can make it here only. Like this one is the myelin. The gap which is present, this gap, it is known as nodes of Ranvier. N-O-D, node of Ranvier. The name of the scientist who had discovered it is called nodes of Ranvier. Okay? So this one you must remember what are the 3 names of the 3 layers which covers the action. Outermost layer is neurolemma. The middle one is called myelin sheath. Such nerve cells which contain myelin sheath are called myelinated nerve fibers, and they are very good in conducting the nerve impulse because the speed is much more as compared to certain other nerve cells which are without myelin sheath. They are called non-myelinated or unmyelinated nerve fibers. Okay. Now next one is nodes of Ranvier. Already I said Nigel's granules. This one, the dot which is shown here inside the cell body, they are known as Nigel's granules. N-I-S-S-L''S. Nigel's granules. They are present in the cytoplasm of the cell body, and their function is it helps in synthesis of protein in a neuron. Now next, differences between action and dendrites is given in the book. You can learn it. Like action, take the information, this one, from the cell body to the action terminal, whereas dendrites bring the information from the other nerve cell to the cell body. One is bringing, the other is taking away. Alright. Second one, it has a smooth surface. Which one? The action has a smooth surface, but dendrites have rough surface because they have many branches. They are generally one action per cell. In one cell only one action is found, but many dendrites are present. The branches are there, you can see. Then there is no ribosomes present in action, but in dendrites ribosomes are there. Then you can say action has got the myelin sheath, but dendrites there is no such myelin sheath. Okay. Now next we have to study is types of neurons. Alright. There are 3 types of neuron. What are they? Sensory neuron, motor neuron, and mixed neuron. Sensory neurons are the one which carry message from the sense organs to the brain or spinal cord. Alright. So now instead of structure, next we have the types of neuron. I'll just rub it. Types of neuron, there are 3 types. Types of neuron. Okay. There are 3 types of neuron. What are they? Number 1 is sensory. Number 2 is motor. And number 3 is mixed or association neuron. Mixed or association neuron. Okay, so what is the definition of sensory neuron? Sensory neuron are those which carry message from the sense organs like eyes, ears to the brain or spinal cord. Okay. For example, optic nerve is a sensory neuron. Optic neuron, the one which carry the message of whatever we have seen from the eyes to the brain. Similarly, we have the auditory nerve which carry the message from the ear to the brain. Now next one is the motor nerve. Motor nerve is the one which carry just opposite direction. It carries the message from brain or spinal cord to the muscles or glands. Okay. And the third one is mixed or association nerve. It is the one which contains both the sensory neuron as well as motor neuron. Means they have long action short dendrites and carry impulses from central nervous system to this one. They are interconnecting both the central nervous system and the motor nervous system. Okay. They are called the connecting neuron also, or mixed neurons, or interneurons. They connect both the sensory as well as motor neurons. That's why the name is association neuron, and it is found particularly in the spinal cord. Now next, the neurons, once they are damaged, means the nerve cell, if it is damaged, it cannot be repaired. That's why because they do not have the capacity to regenerate. Once they are formed, they remain permanent throughout the life. Glucose is the only substance which gives them energy to the nerve cells. So they die in case of there is oxygen deficiency, even for 5 minutes. So continuous supply of glucose and oxygen is required for them to survive. Now you can see in table 9.2, differences between sensory, motor and mixed nerves is given, like length of the fiber, location and function. Now next is the conduction of nerve impulse. How the nerve impulses are conducted. This one is very important to learn. The human body has billions of nerve cells, and the axon ends has many small swellings, like suppose this is the action part of the nerve cell. It has a swelling which is known as action terminal. Like a bulb I have made, this is called the action terminal. At this terminal, the neuron is in contact with another nerve cell. Like there is another nerve cell, okay, it is in contact but not in direct contact. There is a gap present between them. This gap is known as synaptic cleft, and this junction of two nerve cells, that is the last part of the nerve cell, that is the action of one nerve cell, and the dendrite of another nerve cell, is called synapse. What is it called? S-Y-N-A-P-S-E. So message will travel like this from one nerve cell to the other. Now how it travels, that is what you have to learn. Okay, neurons that transmit the impulse to other neurons do not actually touch one another. The small gap which is present between the action of one neuron and the dendrite of another neuron, it is known as, this gap is called synaptic cleft or synapse. So what is the name given? Synaptic cleft, C-L-E-F-T, cleft, or it is also known as synapse. This is asked in the definition also. That defines synapse. Synapse is the contact between one nerve cell and another nerve cell. This is the axon part of one nerve cell with the dendrite part of another nerve cell. The axon terminals at the synapse contain tiny vesicles. You can see in your book also the diagram is there. Small vesicles are there. These vesicles are known as, these vesicles contain a chemical which is known as neurotransmitter. They are filled with a chemical which is called neurotransmitter vesicles. So what is the name given to these vesicles? They are called neurotransmitter vesicles. Okay, they are known as neurotransmitter vesicles. And now these neurotransmitter vesicles contains a chemical which is known as neurotransmitter. What is the meaning of neurotransmitter? Like whenever the message comes in the form of electrical disturbance, it is converted into a chemical. It is mixed with the chemical called neurotransmitter. Now this chemical will help in the transmission of message from this part of the nerve cell to the next part of the nerve cell. Okay. Example is acetylcholine. If asked, give 2 examples of neurotransmitter, the answer is acetylcholine and adrenaline. Okay. So neurotransmitter is used by one neuron to signal another one. So impulse is changed from electrical impulse to chemical impulse. This is called electrochemical impulse. Earlier it was coming in the form of electrical disturbance. Now see, the message is being changed from electrical form to chemical form with the help of neurotransmitters. Understood? And that's why it is called electrochemical impulse. Now next is transmission of electrochemical impulse. How it occurs.